Instead of hard time, one Cook County judge has been giving repeat drug offenders a second chance for more than a decade. His program has not only saved taxpayers millions, but likely saved lives. CBS 2 political investigator Dana Kozlov dives into why it's now struggling to rebuild.
Look at that.
If you asked Michael Keene 5 years ago if he ever imagined this life, his answer would have been a flat-out no.
I was stealing from my family, stealing from my friends, stuff like that, whatever I could do to get my next high.
His addiction landed him in jail numerous times until Cook County Judge Charles Burns gave him an opportunity.
He gave me a second chance, basically.
Selecting him to be part of the drug court Burns has run for 12 years.
I call it progressive justice.
Progressive justice. Now listen, man. Not for nothing. The biggest issue with this is that wait till some people get a hold of this, man. And they see that, gliders are benefiting from this. Some people don't care that their teenage sons are carjacking people every week and getting out the next day, doing it again, rinse and repeat, home invasions, street robberies, and continually getting out and getting slaps on the wrist. Prosecutor won't prosecute the cases. Cases just turn to dust. If they do get prosecuted, they get a slap on the wrist, probation. They don't care about that. Now that they see that gliders is benefiting from it, this might actually help in a weird, twisted way. This might actually help. And I want to know what you guys think. Tell me if you hit one if you agree with me. This might actually help some people turn their back or turn away from progressive policies. When they see gliders benefiting from it, wait a second, that's privilege. See, we told y'all. Hey, even today, the legacy of the Jim Crow, the new Jim Crow. Make sure y'all share this video, man. Let's try to see if we can get some people. They're like, wait a second. We ain't know they was benefiting from these progressive policies too.
Landed him in jail numerous times until Cook County Judge Charles Burns gave him an opportunity.
He gave me a second chance, basically.
Selecting him to be part of the drug court Burns has run for 12 years.
I call it progressive justice.
The court's formal name, Rehabilitative Alternative Probation, or RAP. The 2-year
RAP. So you already know who this was geared towards. You already know who it was geared towards. RAP. So, but everybody's benefiting. We don't like that, man. We don't like that with her.
He gave me a second chance, basically.
Selecting him to be part of the drug court Burns has run for 12 years.
I call it progressive justice.
The court's formal name, Rehabilitative Alternative Probation, or RAP. The 2-year program gives serial drug offenders charged with felonies a chance to rebuild their lives.
Just look at that room, man. Look across that room, man. Look at them faces in the background, man. Wow.
Or RAP. The 2-year program gives serial drug offenders charged with felonies a chance to rebuild their lives instead of going to prison. Participants get treatment, employment, housing, financial counseling, and if they graduate, their criminal records expunged.
Do we get disappointed? Do we get burned sometimes? Yeah, we do. But the bottom line is, if you sit through a graduation, it is nothing short of totally inspiring.
It's also successful. One example, Judge Burns says from 2014 to 2021, only 3.8% of his graduates were charged with new felonies within a year, 9.6% within 3 years. The statewide recidivism rate per Prison Legal News is 17% of those released from prison face new charges in the first year, jumping to 43% within 3.
Hey, man, if these numbers aren't being fudged, if they ain't being doctored, or, there's some stipulation that, maybe like a prosecutor who doesn't prosecute low level, the type of crimes that a drug addict, like breaking in your car or breaking in your house, or, or, what I'm saying, just, small time. It's funny how they call it stuff small time. It's like, it's not small time for the person who's it's being done to. But unless they get, they don't have a prosecutor who doesn't prosecute these small time things that drug addicts do, then these numbers, this is encouraging. But if they do have a prosecutor there in Cook County that doesn't prosecute these types of things that drug addicts do, then these numbers are not surprising. They're not surprising. And you look at the rest of the state, I mean, of course, the rest of the state is going to have higher because they don't have the same prosecutor that Cook County has. What's her name? Kim something. But yeah. So whatever.
Charges in the first year, jumping to 43% within 3. Do you think it is a lifesaver for people?
Absolutely. If you stick with the program and do what you're supposed to, absolutely.
That includes appearing before Burns once a week. But then came the pandemic.
Unfortunately, with everything shutting down, all the resources we had for these people were shut down too.
Burns says they're slowly ramping back up, even expanding their outreach.
We're talking about partnering with the sheriff, partnering with Chicago police, and targeting areas where there's high opioid use, because this program works.
Judge Burns' rap court, which he oversees here, by the way, was just named one of the 10 national mentor treatment courts in the country by the U.S. Department of Justice and another agency, which means his program will be seen as a model for other court systems who want to bolster existing programs like this one or even start them. I'm live outside the Layton Criminal Courts building. Dana Kozlov, CBS 2 News.
Police department is calling this proactive enforcement, which is really just a fancy way of saying that the police department is going to go after crimes that negatively affect New Yorkers' way of life and during everyday encounters, and otherwise they would have previously looked the other way.
2 questions. Who do you think are the critics who are slamming NYPD's anti-crime initiative? What do you think they look like? The people who are slamming this. What do they look like? Who the crime-loving, criminal-loving, chaos-loving people who are mad that, NYPD's cracking down on crimes that they would normally look away from. And they've been looking away. They've been certain crimes. So you know what this is? They're bringing back broken windows policing without saying it. They know they can't. They know they can't tell them sisters up in New York that they bringing back broken windows policing, because them sisters gonna be marching and protesting and carrying on and acting crazy. Because you know who's gonna get swept up in this. Is there anybody who doesn't know who this is going to affect? What group of men this is going to affect? So yeah, Sistahs gonna be upset, man. So they can't call it broken windows. They gotta, phrase it a different way, man.
Police department is calling this proactive enforcement, which is really just a fancy way of saying that the police department is going to go after crimes that negatively affect New Yorkers' way of life and during everyday encounters, and otherwise they would have previously looked the other way.
The days of dealing drugs in public, subway turnstile jumping, and drinking on the streets with immunity are over, according to the NYPD. It's crimes like these, they say, that lead to more violent crimes committed by people hurting or killing innocent New Yorkers. So the city's new police commissioner has ordered officers to crack down on so-called quality of life crimes, where in the past, they'd often look the other way.
Of course, we want it safe over here, but, at the same time, we don't want, they just green light to just run up on people.
Of course, we want to save over here, but So, Sunmen wield an incredibly small amount of political power, even though we're pawns in almost every political game. Either our dead bodies or our live bodies are used by movements, programs, foundations, political policies, for some agenda. But as a unit, we wield an incredibly small amount of political power. But Sistahs have a huge amount to be 6% of the population, they doing the daggone thing, man. And the fact that this guy, it's better for us to present this guy than to present a well-dressed brother with a, suit, well-spoken guy, or, a middle-class guy, or, as they would call it, an educated lame, which tells you a lot about the community, that guys who are upstanding, law-abiding, and, in pursuit of the American dream are called educated lames. But this speaks more to the sisters who wield all of the political power and agency in the community to present this guy. So I think that this is the news. They did this for a reason, because they know that sisters going to see this and they're going to go into mammy mode. Their mothering spirit is going to come out. Save him. Because they just going to be running up on people, right? Because that's what's going to happen now. Like, I'm going to be walking down the street and the cops just going to tackle me. Because I'm a Sun man, right? I ain't going to have to be, doing what they said earlier.
The days of dealing drugs in public, subway turnstile jumping, and drinking on the streets with immunity are over, according to the NYPD. It's crimes like these, they say, that lead to more violent crimes committed by people hurting or killing innocent New Yorkers. So the city's new police commissioner has ordered officers to crack down on so-called quality of life crimes, where in the past, they'd often look the other way.
Of course, we want it safe over here, but, at the same time, we don't want, they just green light to just run up on people.
While officials insist this is not a return to stop and frisk tactics, it resembles a proactive, broken window style of policing, as Mayor Adams is reportedly dissatisfied with the NYPD's efforts during his first 3 months in office.
Now that's encouraging, because I've been dissatisfied with, he ran on being tough on crime. So yeah, I was tremendously dissatisfied with his first 3 months. So I told you, right? He's even dissatisfied. See what I told you? I told y'all. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe. I told y'all. He's even dissatisfied.
Broken window style of policing, as Mayor Adams is reportedly dissatisfied with the NYPD's efforts during his first 3 months in office.
We're going to push our initiatives forward.
Aside from the new neighborhood safety anti-gun units just deployed, this strategy will stifle the smaller crimes, as 311 complaints about drinking on the street have recently doubled, as well as loud outdoor parties, which at times lead to shootings. The first wave of enforcement will target the Bronx and Brooklyn, specifically Brownsville, East New York, and Cypress Hills. In each borough, 17 police precincts account for nearly half of the city's total shootings.
Let me translate that for you guys just a little bit. 17 of the 123 police precincts account for half of the shootings in the city. Okay? So that's roughly about maybe 12 to 10% of the precincts account for half of the of the shootings in the city. Let me further translate that for you. Wherever there's a high concentration of some people, that's where all the shootings are happening.
The first wave of enforcement will target the Bronx and Brooklyn, specifically Brownsville, East New York, and Cypress Hills. In each borough, 17 police precincts account for nearly half of the city's total shootings. The civil liberties advocates are concerned.
Threaten to harm yet another generation of young Black men. And that's not where we need to go.
Does this woman not know what that generation of young son men are doing to women her age on the streets in broad daylight? On the regular? Does she not know that? She has to know that. Like the new knockout game is like almost exclusively women in her demographic. That's like, it's like literally like you're being targeted. What is this woman talking about, man? And the fact that she doesn't see her own racism. Like, who said they was targeting Sunmen? They said they cracking down on open air drugs, selling drugs in public, drinking in public, and like a couple other things, man. A couple other nefarious, turnstile jumping, and more. There's more to it, but just basically crimes that, you know, just low level crimes, nuisance crimes. They didn't say anything about Sunman, but even she knows. She knows. She heard. She heard Sunman when she heard what they said. And she doesn't see how, like, that would be like, that would be like, man, listen, man, we cracking we cracking down on all the ugly people, man. We getting rid of all the ugly people in our nation. And y'all just started saying, well, dang, man, so-and-so, they done, man. They about to get blocked. So-and-so about to get blocked. This one about to get blocked. That person about to get blocked. It's like, dang, man. All I said was the ugly people. I ain't named names.
Threaten to harm yet another generation of young Black men. And that's not where we need to go.
Well, Commissioner Keyshawn Sewell pushed back against the notion of that, saying, to be clear, this is not a return to stop, question, and frisk. This enforcement will be responsive to community concerns, complaints, and will address violent crime patterns officers and detectives are confronting on the streets every day.
Increased random violence in New York City. Another example of it, this time at the entrance to the crown jewel of the city, Central Park. A 9-year-old girl visiting here from Florida when a man just punches her in the head out of nowhere. The girl now okay, and New York cops say the attacker now under arrest because of the fast thinking and brave response of a veteran doorman at the famous Plaza Hotel. Eyewitness News reporter Lucy Yang talking to this hero.
Central Park is quiet tonight, but there were screams, tears, and fear Monday morning when a little girl became the latest victim of random street crime. We're told a child and her family were trying to enjoy Central Park South when a man, without warning, punched the 9-year-old tourist in the head.
I saw that there was a guy screaming and walking very quickly toward a family that had a baby in a baby carriage and a little girl. And the little girl was holding her head and she was crying and the mother was screaming.
Enter our New York City hero. Neil Johnson has been a doorman at the Ritzy Plaza Hotel for 24 years. He was walking towards Central Park South to hail a cab for a customer when he heard the screams. He didn't hesitate to put himself between the man and the frightened family to protect them. He says the man was aggressively pursuing the victims.
So our privileged, our glad privileged doorman for 24 years. So much privilege, he's been a doorman for 24 years. He stepped in the middle and because the guy was still going, like, think about it. And we know the identification of the person, of the 9-year-old. It was most likely, it was either Hombrito or Glider 9-year-old or Crouching Tiger 9-year-old. We know that. And we know the identification of the real victim, the puncher / victim in this. We already know that. We know who that was. So anyway, this guy had to stop him from continue, like he was... You punch a 9-year girl there, and then you just keep like you just beefing with a 9-year-old. You out there in the middle of the street in a busy section of the city. Like, it's on. You and that 9-year-old, it's cracking. Like, it's up. I don't know what she had, what kind of color bandana she had on. I don't know if it was he snapped or something, because they're gonna give him the mental health out. Even if he don't have a history of mental health issues, even if he come back and say, "Nah, I was fine, I just did it," they're gonna still give him mental health. So, but it's up. Me and you, 9-year-old girl, right here. We doing this. Fight till one of us is out. And this happened. How many stories have I done on this in the last 2-3 weeks? And I don't catch them all. I'm covering the whole nation. I just happen to catch a few in New York City. Just in New York City, how many have I done in the last 2 or 3 weeks? You got to understand that this right here is a sample. This is like a survey size. Like, we just give you the things you see on this channel are happening in every stand, every single day, all day. We just give you a little, let you be aware of what's going on. The types of things that are going on. This is happening all the time. Grown son men setting in on little girls on streets this busy.
I saw that there was a guy screaming and walking very quickly toward a family that had a baby in a baby carriage and a little girl. And the little girl was holding her head and she was crying and the mother was screaming.
Enter our New York City hero. Neil Johnson has been a doorman at the Ritzy Plaza Hotel for 24 years. He was walking towards Central Park South to hail a cab for a customer when he heard the screams. He didn't hesitate to put himself between the man and the frightened family to protect them. He says the man was aggressively pursuing the victims.
Told him to stop by yelling a whole louder than him, just telling him, you better stay where you are.
Eventually, another man came to help. Neil was able to call police and arrest was made. The little girl's family declined to go to the hospital. This vendor says he saw the same attacker go after another woman as well.
After I see him, he pushed another woman.
The family from Miami saw the best and the worst in New Yorkers today. Sadly, this violent attack might be the one unforgettable souvenir they take home from this trip.
Those two suspects police are trying to identify following an assault on board a subway train in Brooklyn. It happened on March 2nd as a southbound A train was approaching the J Street subway station. Police say a 28-year-old woman was approached by the suspects who, without provocation, punched her in the face multiple times. A 29-year-old man tried to intervene and was also punched in the face. The woman was taken to Cobble Hill Hospital in stable condition while the...
This is them after they just ran up on a random woman in one of the most crowded places in the city. Like, you understand, the subway, a lot of y'all haven't been in New York. Like, they have a city underneath the ground. It's a bustling. These stations are bustling with people. It's just like New York, everything in New York. What, 19 million people there? Bustling with people. These guys just walked up on a random woman, most likely a glider, crouching tiger on Umbrita, and boxed her in the face a bunch of times, both of them. And this is them after it. Is this the, oh man, we gotta keep our heads down because we being profiled and everything's against us, man. We scared of police, man. They look like they're in a rush to get away.